So we've been measuring groundwater levels here on the Oxbow floodplain with 3 shallow groundwater wells, and we're interested in studying the relationship between water levels in the river channel and how that affects water levels in the floodplain in what we call the groundwater aquifer. And we're really interested in how that might shift over time so that we can tell whether the river is gaining water from the floodplain or whether the river is losing water to the floodplain. And that could be really important to the mine waste spill, because we could figure out if when that toxic waste was coming down the river channel, was the river losing water into the floodplain, in which case the potential would exist for some of the heavy metals to have percolated into the floodplain sediments. That wouldn't definitely happen, but it would be more likely if the river was in a losing state.
So one of the big questions with this spill is, are aquifers being contaminated? Our data take a place that's away from most other big groundwater wells and say, is that contaminated water even flowing into the adjacent groundwater? So if the river was higher and the aquifer was lower, we'd have contaminated river water coming in. And if the opposite is true, then we'd be flushing out into the river with groundwater, and you really wouldn't expect much contamination to come in. If you had data like this from different sites across the Animas River Valley, then you could then potentially say to homeowners, don't use your well.
Here are data from this site in 2013. The water level was relatively lower in well 1 compared to well 2 and well 3.
Which would suggest that the water table's dipping towards the river, and the river's the gaining stream in 2013. And there are always some levels of heavy metals in all streams, but in these streams especially, because the old mines and the altered volcanic rocks up near Silverton are just part of this whole riparian system. So if you look at heavy metal concentrations in the soils of this whole valley, they're elevated compared to other places, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're hazardous. It's just sort of what's the same question, what's normal for an area.